Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right. I don't know. We're going to be a little hyperbolic here. Who's ready for the death of America? And what I mean by death of America is, I don't know, the fiscal collapse of America or something? I don't know. Whatever. I'm being silly. The big, beautiful bill, that piece of complete dog shit legislation, which no one liked, had constant fucking disagreements with, or, people who didn't fully read through it all the way. Because, of course, that obviously happened. Has successfully passed reconciliation in the Senate. 51 to 50, with JD Vance being the tie breaking vote. Yeah, somehow it managed to pass despite the fact that there were a lot of GOP lawmakers saying, like, this doesn't cut enough. There were GOP lawmakers saying, like, this is just going to, like, completely fuck over my constituents. That's the case of Tom Tillis, right? Because the Medicaid cuts. Medicare? I always confuse the two. It's a Medicare cuts. There are cuts in Medicare there for about what? I think it's $880 billion. Those are the proposed cuts to Medicare that are being, well, proposed. And, well, Tom Tillis has said, like, yeah, I'm going to vote against this, like, complete dog shit of a fucking bill because it's just, like, like, fuck this shit. I'm out. That's great. Fantastic. And he's not running for re-election as well at this point. He has said that I am not going to run for re-election because this bill is just that wretched and that terrible. And I guess I agree with Tom Tillis. Though we live in strange, strange times, ladies and gentlemen, and those in between. That I am agreeing with Tom Tillis, him saying, like, yeah, this bill is complete fucking ass. It's a terrible, terrible, wretched thing. It's horrible. We have Rand Paul here, of course, being one of the people who are the more, I suppose, fiscal hawks, saying that this is going to completely blow up the debt and the deficit, and he is correct. The debt and the deficit is going to be, the debt is going to be blown up by $3.8 trillion over 10 years. And for what exactly? Just for tax cuts for the rich, quite literally. We've seen the graphs. Why don't we pull it up right now? Trump tax cuts. 2025. We've seen this before, right? This, it's not the exact graph that I used to use, but it's changed. Because he's also extending the tax cuts he did before. So this is, because he's making these tax cuts permanent as well, I believe. These tax cuts are being made permanent from 2017. This is going to completely blow up the debt. One of the main reasons. The top 5% are getting a $12,000 fucking cut. Very cool. They only get to benefit from this. Very, very cool. And meanwhile, the top 1% get a huge fucking tax cuts. And for, well, the poorest, pittance. Like nothing, basically. So that's cool. That's very great. And this is the main graph right here. Look at this shit. Everyone else's taxes are going up. Meanwhile, the top 5% richest, well, their taxes are going down significantly. So that's cool. That's really great that this is happening. What happened? Hey, populists, what's going on here? Why are you fucking over, well, the vast majority of the population? What's going on here? I don't know. Maybe like the MAGA slop little losers are just like, well, we want our sloppies. Yeah, we're going to pay more taxes for great leader. Let's go. Very, very cool. Very, very good. And I believe this is Susan Collins of Maine. Now, I'm not very sure why she's a holdout in particular. My guess is also because of the Medicaid cuts. Because Maine is a fairly rural state. Because, again, who's going to suffer the most from these cuts? To, not Medicaid, but to Medicare. It's going to be rural. Rural hospitals are who's going to suffer most. But this is just a rough count of the millions of people that are losing their fucking insurance because of these fucking tax cuts. Millions of fucking people. Oh, Red Texas. Hey, about a fucking 1.7 million people losing your fucking health insurance. Florida. Almost 2 million people losing their fucking Medicare. Very cool. Hey, lots of rural parts of fucking California. Probably lots of rural hospitals in fucking California. About 2.4 million people are being put at risk. Very, very cool and very good. But he's a populist, guys. Don't worry about it. So it pretty much passed, I presume, along party lines, and even there were a bunch of GOP holdouts. Very cool, very good, fantastic. But what do we got here? Key items. So obviously it passed the House, where, I don't know, most people didn't even fucking read through the whole thing. Very cool, Marjorie Taylor Greene, you fucking dumbass. Where she probably would have voted against it if she completely read through the 1,000-page bill. But obviously there was a bunch of changes, because guess what? The Senate looked at this, we're just like, what the fuck is this shit? This is complete dog shit. Fuck this. There's going to be changes made. And there were changes made. To get some of those, well, Senate fucking holdouts. But what do you got here? Republican Senate leaders have released their latest version of the budget bill that is pivotal to the United States President Donald Trump's second-term agenda as they scramble to corral backbench holdouts. Their latest draft on the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, released in the early hours of Saturday, has some notable differences to the version passed by a single vote last month in the House of Representatives. That's how close of a margin this shit was. One fucking vote in the House of Representatives that this passed by. It's incredible. Includes increased cuts to Medicaid. Oh, even more cuts to Medicaid. Fantastic. While other aspects have been dropped or reworked to comply with Senate rules. Rice, because I believe something known as the Byrd Rule, I think, right? If we take a look at the Byrd Rule, this thing was constantly violating the Byrd Rule. So the Byrd Rule defines any reconciliation changes to Social Security as extraneous and therefore ineligible for reconciliation. The Byrd Rule, named for Senator Robert Byrd, was adopted in 1985 and amended in 1990. Yeah, this bill was constantly violating this fucking rule, which is why there was a lot more compromises and fucking negotiations that were being had. Because they were thinking about cutting Social Security. Like quite literally. So, while we work to comply with Senate rules. Or at least, like, I mentioned the Byrd Rule here because that's what I believe Bell, the fifth column, has been constantly saying. That is the main rule that's been being violated here with this, well, complete dog shit of a bill. Republicans have been torn over how to fund many of the measures' proposed tax cuts, which the Congressional Budget Office estimates will bloat the federal debt by nearly $3 trillion over the next decade. How much did... question. How much has Donald Trump blown up the debt at this point? Because, let's be honest here, Donald Trump has probably been the main guy who's been blowing up the debt and the deficit. So how much has Trump been has Trump blown up the debt? Let's take a look. I'm curious. How much has he blown up the debt? This is from ProPublica in 2021. Thank you. Go away. The king of debt promised to reduce the national debt, and then his tax cuts made it surge. Adding the pandemic, he oversaw the third biggest deficit increase of any president. Well timed to tack on an additional $3 trillion. The national debt has risen by almost $7.8 trillion during Trump's time in office. Wait, what happened to lowering the debt and the deficit? What happened? What happened? What happened? What's going on? Oh, what happened? Oh, it's almost as if, like, these motherfuckers have never cared about blowing up the debt and the deficit. If it means that they can get tax cuts for their rich buddies, well, that's all that matters. So tack on an additional $3 trillion to that. That's going to be about $11 trillion in debt. What's the U.S.'s national debt? What is the national debt of the U.S.? $36.2 trillion. Donald Trump is directly responsible for about a third of the U.S.'s national debt. Very cool. So that's cool, you know. 1/3 being caused by one guy. One guy. And there was like a graph. You want to know who are the only people who have brought down the fucking goddamn debt and the fucking deficit? It's only been Democrats. The only motherfuckers who've been constantly fucking blowing it up have been Republicans. Bush blew up the fucking debt and the deficit. Same with Trump. Same with fucking Reagan. Very, very cool. So, you know, $11 trillion of debt. 1/3 just being caused by one guy. One guy. I did it, folks. I oversaw a blow up of about 1/3 of the U.S.'s national debt, folks. We love it, folks. It's very good, folks. Very, very good considering our, well, you know, our national credit score is in the shitter right now. Let's keep blowing up the debt. It's going to be really, really good, folks. Fantastic. Senate Republicans are racing to pass the bill ahead of the self-imposed 4th of July deadline in order to send it to Trump's desk for signing into law. Yeah, so he can do like a little fucking photo op with it and just be like, look at me working for the American people, fucking them over, having to make them pay for trillions upon trillions of dollars of debt. They are the ones who are going to have to take care of this. Very cool. Social Security taxes. On the campaign trail, Trump vowed to eliminate taxes on Social Security income monthly payments to people with disabilities and older adults, aka one of his main constituencies. The House bill fell short of delivering on that promise. Well, you know, very cool, very good. But it did temporarily increase the standard deduction of up to $4,000 for individuals 65 and over. That deduction will be in place from 2025 to 2028. The deduction extensions began to decrease after $150,000 for married taxpayers filing jointly and $75,000 for individual filers. Senate Republicans are also looking to extend the Social Security tax breaks and have proposed an increase that will grant a $6,000 tax deduction for older Americans. You know, guys, we can only help the main constituencies that vote for us. Who gives a fuck about younger people? Fuck them. They're all lazy. No one likes them. They don't want to work. More Medicaid requirements. So here's where some of the fucking cuts are happening. A lot of extra fucking requirements. That's generally how it works. Because again, if you add more and more requirements to a universal program like Medicaid, which is a very popular fucking program that helps, well, I believe it's Medicaid for seniors and Medicare for everyone else, right? I always confuse the two. Is that correct, Boy Meets Minnie? Do I have that right? So if you, other way. Okay, it's Medicare for seniors, Medicaid for general people. I always fucking confuse the two because they're so fucking similar in name. I feel like that's on purpose, right? Just to confuse people. Well, I got confused by it. Drat. Anywho. So the Health Finance tax cuts elsewhere. Republicans have added additional restrictions and requirements for Medicaid. The healthcare program relied upon by millions of elderly, disabled, and low-income Americans. So again, why are they fucking doing this? The excuse the Republicans are running with is that a bunch of like 35-year-olds, aka Asmongold viewers, are being real lazy, sitting on their ass and just not working because they don't want to work. That's not really the case at all whatsoever, and they're claiming that this is the case for millions upon millions of young Americans. Simply put, just fucking ridiculous and stupid, to say the least, that this is just simply put not the case, okay? It is ridiculous to say that that a lot of young men are not finding work because of, you know, wanting to sit on their asses in their mother's basement to play fucking video games. That's not the main fucking reason, okay? It's because the job market fucking sucks. Jobs are fucking shit. Work is not fucking fulfilling, and nobody wants to work most of these fucking Amazon gig work. Like either the gig work from like Uber and shit like that, or fucking Amazon warehouse jobs that these motherfuckers are trying to be funneled into. No one wants to work any of those jobs because they suck, the pay is bad, and the benefits are like near non-existent. So fuck that. Why would anyone want to work any of those fucking jobs? Seems perfectly reasonable to me. And of course, like I was saying before, this is generally speaking how tax cuts and cuts are done and justified to a lot of these social safety net programs. They add in a lot more requirements, making it such that a lot less people are ineligible and can't sign up for it, thus meaning they don't have to give as much money to these programs. That's how it's done. And man, this is it's gonna be great to see this completely blow up in the face of fucking Republicans, because again, Medicaid also funds a lot of rural fucking hospitals. That was one of the main concerns that, for example, Tom Tillis and I think Susan Collins was also bringing up. Like, dude, you're like gonna completely fuck over a bunch of my goddamn constituents. Like, fuck that. And same with Lisa Murkowski, but she ended up like flipping and switching to voting in favor of the fucking bill because she got special cutouts for Alaska specifically. Well. Very, very cool. Listen, it's okay for about like what 50,000 people in one tiny fucking state, but everyone else, they can get completely fucked over. Fuck them. Who gives a fuck about any of them? Very, very cool. Changes to Medicaid, one of the biggest components of federal spending, was a major source of political strife. One of the changes are new work requirements for childless adults without disabilities. To qualify, the bill says they would require to work at least 80 hours per month from December 2026. Again, like any evidence that this isn't the fucking case that Republicans have presented, that this is a huge fucking phenomenon, none. There's like no evidence at all. Like Republicans are saying like, oh yeah, millions of young men are just not working. They just aren't. It's just like, that's not the reason. That's not even the case. A lot of people aren't working because jobs fucking suck. The economy fucking sucks. That's why people aren't fucking working. They're like, nah, fuck this. It's all dog shit. Why would I want to work for complete, like, shit? For complete fucking pennies. Like, fuck that. That's why people aren't fucking working. Not because of, I don't know, stupid, dumbass, like, I don't know, wanting to sit on their ass playing video games all day. That's complete poppycock. That's nonsense. But sure, whatever. Like, that's the excuse they're gonna fucking run with. It's silly. Another proposed change of the program is requiring Medicaid re-enrollment to shift from once a year to every 6 months. Enrollees would have to provide additional income and residency verifications, right? Because they think a bunch of illegals as well, which is not the case, are also enrolling in this program. Just farce. It's just a farce. Fucking illegal immigrants can't sign up for these programs. They do not have the ability to do that. That is just a lie. So, and they want more like people to re-enroll constantly because, again, they want to disincentivize people from, well, re-enrolling. They want to give more opportunities for people to forget to re-enroll. That is why. By, making them be busy with a bunch of busy work or something. The Senate proposal puts even more restrictions on Medicaid, which is likely to cause more headaches for Republicans when the bill returns to the House. So, yeah, it passed the Senate. Now it's going to go back to the House, right? And, oh boy, that's going to be a complete fucking shit show. When is July? July 4th is not very long from now. It's about 3 days to try to fucking get this passed. I don't think it's going to work, dude. There's no fucking way this is getting fucking passed in 3 days. No fucking shot. Unless they ram it through as quickly as fucking possible. Because, right, initially, because what? It passed the House, right? Barely. But the Senate did a bunch of changes to it, which means now it has to go back to the House to see if they agree with those fucking changes. And, they're going to have a vote on it and try to fucking ram it through. They're going to more than likely try to fucking ram it through. That's the whole point in all of this. Their version proposes to lower provider taxes, which states use to help fund their share of Medicaid costs from 6% to 3.5% by 2031. Complaints from some Republicans from states that draw funding from state taxes, especially for rural hospitals, which is what I've been saying before. Lots of rural hospitals can't be run privately because it's not profitable to do as such. So they have to rely on Medicaid for fucking funding. You cut that shit, a lot of these hospitals are going to be forced to close because they don't have the money to be able to run. They're already on thin enough margins as it is. This is going to make it worse. Led the Senate to delay the cuts and add a $25 billion rural hospital fund. They have to put in more money in order to fund these because, again, they know that this is going to harm their fucking constituents. Again, because, it's all about fucking harming, inner city black people because Who gives a fuck about them? They're black. Fuck them. But our constituents, those honorable Americans out in the rural South, that's right, yee brother, they need to be protected at all costs. Very, very cool. Very good. The Senate bill also proposes tightening eligibility requirements so that adults with children aged 15 and over would need to work or volunteer at least 80 hours a month. Yeah, work requirements are like the most common way, generally speaking, that cuts are done to, well, social safety net programs. People in red states depend on government services way more than they think they realize. Oh, 1000% Boy Meets Mini. The idea of the fucking welfare queen that's using food stamps to buy fucking steak dinners, that's a complete fucking farce. But again, it's all fell for it again award shit, right? As soon as these like cuts and proposals fucking actually go through, there's a recognition, simply put, saying like, oh yeah, dude, I totally want these cuts to go forward in order to fuck over all these people. Then, they recognize and realize that it's them who are being affected the most. And like, wait a minute. What, I thought we were only going after the people that I didn't like. What the fuck, man? And, fell for it again award, the standard for Republicans. Very, very cool. The Senate Medicaid requirement is said to be the strictest ever proposed by Republicans, raising the odds that large numbers of Americans will lose medical coverage. That's going to be great. Again, like Kyle Kunsky said, about 17 million Americans are at risk of losing their fucking coverage. And these are, I don't know, cancer patients, people with chronic illnesses and stuff like that. They're all going to fucking lose coverage. For what exactly? Fuck you. Tax cuts for the rich. That's the point. Increased cap on salt tax. So these are state and local taxes. The bill increases the deduction limit for state and local taxes, a hugely important issue for a few Republican holdouts in some Democratic-controlled urban areas. This is a lot of fucking goddamn shifts happened because of the fact that neoliberalism is, well, dying, and a lot of shifts happened in a lot of more blue areas to the Republicans. There was originally going to be cuts made to the deduction limits for salt taxes, which are state and local taxes, which are used to fund state and local, well, initiatives. A lot of social safety net programs, generally speaking, right? A lot of those tax cuts were going to be, these cuts were going to be catalyzed. I'm trying to think what the best word here is to say. We're going to be done essentially in order to, well, screw over a bunch of people and just say like, well, what do you mean? We're just going to, cut these nice local social safety net proposals and just make people suffer. Because again, Republicans only want people to suffer. We all know the meme, right? So again, not another problem. The thing with these particular Republicans, these more purple districts and purple seats, they can't have any of that because, again, it's going to be really easy for the Democratic opponents to talk about these deduction limit cuts, and say like, oh look at how the Republican Party, this House representative in this particular district or seat, went along with the big beautiful bill to cut, our local social safety nets. Look at what they did. These fucking bastards. They cut this shit. And it's going to affect you. And it's going to be a very easy political winner for Democrats. So a lot of these fucking purple district Republicans are saying, like, can we not do this? So then we can, not get completely fucked over in our elections. That's one of the main big problems of Republican holdouts in the House in particular. There's currently a $10,000 cap on how much taxpayers can deduct from the amount they owe in federal taxes. That expires this year. In the new bill, House Republicans have raised the SALT limit to $40,000 for married couples with incomes up to $500,000. This, too, was a major point of contention. A 2017 law passed under the last Trump administration. This was the tax bill that he initially passed. It was like the Jobs and some bullshit act or something? Whatever. Held the cap at $10,000 and was designed to make room in the federal budget to allow for tax breaks elsewhere, again, for the rich and corporations. Hoping to increase the chances of the bill passing, Senate Republicans are matching the House provision, but only until 2030. So, again, there's going to be a complete other shit show about that again. Very cool. So now we got SNAP benefits. Reforms have also been added to the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, aka SNAP, the government program used by over 40 million low-income Americans. The new bill requires states to contribute more to the program, which is also partially funded by the federal government, and it adds new work requirements for able-bodied SNAP enrollees who do not have dependents. So again, this is another cut because they want people to just work. Some people can't fucking work because of extenuating circumstances. So as a result, they're probably going to go fucking hungry at the end of the night when they go to sleep as a result. Like, for example, a lot of children need SNAP benefits. A lot of children can't fucking work, Republicans. So that's cool, great, fantastic. And they're carving out a lot of provisions for states to, well, not have to give as much funding to SNAP, which again will make people in those Republican states more than likely suffer as a result. My mom is about to turn 60 and she can't work because of multiple health conditions. That's why I support her. Simply put, well, crazy. Not everyone can fucking work to be a fucking, like, Walmart greeter, Republicans. So, fantastic, excellent. The callousness of the Republican Party, as always. And, yeah, the no tax on overtime or tips and other elements. The House bill makes good on one of Trump's signature campaign promises, ending taxes on tips and overtime pay. Yeah, like a tiny minuscule thing that's like whatever. Oh yeah, like listen, we've seen the TikTok video about like all the elder millennials who have to suffer the consequences of all of the stupid shit that Republicans do all the time. We know the meme. The plan would also allow Americans to deduct interest on car loans for U.S.-made cars only. The House voted to increase the child tax credit from to $2,500 from 2000 through to 2028, exclusively for American families where both parents have social security numbers. Ah, very cool. Because fuck potential DACA recipients. Fuck those guys. Yeah, we don't care about those immigrant children. Very, very cool. Additionally, the bill proposes increasing the debt ceiling by $4 trillion. Senate Republicans want this raised to $5 trillion. The debt ceiling is the limit on the amount of money the U.S. government can borrow to pay its bills. It's like a complete nonsense fucking provision, the debt ceiling. It's like a made-up fucking provision made to, just for, like, Republicans to, like, pretend to care about fiscal responsibility. Yeah, it's funny money. Like, it's complete fucking made-up bullshit. Lifting the debt limit allows the government to pay for programs already approved by Congress. The Senate version includes a provision that would allow Americans to deduct tips and overtime from their taxes. However, they propose gradually phasing out those benefits based on annual income, starting at $150,000 for individuals and $300,000 for joint filers. Who the fuck is making $150,000 a year at their fucking restaurant job off of tips? Who the fuck is making that much money? Maybe this is like to go after streamers, because they get tips. But aren't those technically donations? Whatever. Who cares? On child tax credit. Yeah, it's the Denham's tax. True. On child tax credits, the Senate is considering a more modest increase to $2,200. But the increase is permanent, and only one parent is required to have a social security number. So, that's a slight improvement. That's not terrible, I suppose. Not as good as, like, $2,500. Again, like, this is, for all the, like, natalist dipshits out there, you want to incentivize people to have children? This is how you incentivize people to have children. The child tax credit was quite literally the credit that, eliminated child poverty by half. And the Democrats just allowed it to sunset for some reason, despite the fact that it was incredibly fucking popular. So, that's cool. That's great. Fantastic. Good job, Democrats. So, clean energy tax cuts. One of the most notable divisions between House and Senate Republicans is the Senate's proposals for clean energy tax breaks. Although both call for an end to a Biden-era federal clean energy tax credits, Senate Republicans suggest phasing them out more slowly. Because, again, clean coal, we love coal, we want to regress further and further into other dog shit industries. We love giving people black lung, folks, don't we? Very cool, very good. Complete fucking stupid, idiotic nonsense, as always. So for instance, the Senate has extended the runway for businesses that build wind and solar farms to benefit from the tax credits. However, both the House and Senate version seek to deny credits to companies whose supply chains may have ties to a foreign entity of concern, such as China. Ah, yes, of course. The fucking security theater of the United States comes into play again. Their stupid, I don't know, like, schizophrenic fear of, like, this scary yellow man who's going to, like, take their jobs or some shit. Like whatever. It's fucking complete nonsense. We all know the meme. Companies that begin construction this year could qualify for the full tax break. That drops to 60% if they begin construction in 2026 and 20% if they begin in 2027. The credit would also disappear in 2028. Of course, we all, like, Trump has, like, a particular conniption with, like, solar panels for some fucking reason. Like, I don't like solar panels. I think they're, like, ugly and stupid and I hate them. Why does he hate them? I don't know, because, again, he belongs to a fucking death cult. And the Republican Party is a death cult. They all want you to die. Like, I'm being, like, people can think, like, can say, like, oh, that's a little hyperbolic. I think you're kind of being silly. Nah, it's not hyperbolic. They want you to die. Climate change, quite literally. Let's be fucking honest here. Climate change is, like, in the mind of, like, these rapture freaks. They think it is a step necessary in order for them to, like, meet Jesus or go to heaven or whatever fucking bullshit. The House version of the bill sought to end the tax breaks for those companies almost immediately. Yeah, because again, they're a bunch of cultist freaks. What happens next? The Senate must agree on a final version of the bill before sending it to the floor for a vote. Since it is likely to include some of the changes to the original House bill, it will return to the House for another vote where it will almost certainly run into more challenges. Republicans in the House have already expressed their grievances. Mike Lawler from New York posts on social media that any Senate measure that kept the $10,000 state and local government tax cap would be dead on arrival in the House. Again, because he's probably in a purple district and benefits significantly from this. Chip Roy from Texas said the Senate's proposal on clean energy was not close to enough. You're from fucking Texas. You would benefit significantly from solar farms, you fucking... Whatever. Chip Roy is a fucking moron. Whatever. GOP senator from fucking Texas. 3 IQ moron, as always. Trump has repeatedly urged the Senate to get on board. Well, that was never going to fucking happen. They had to do a bunch of fucking compromises. And it did pass, but now it has to go back to the fucking House. Where more bullshit's probably going to happen. More compromises are going to be made. And this ain't fucking... I don't think this is passing on July 4th. I don't think that's fucking happening. Shortly after the bill passed the House, he wrote on social media, "It's time for our friends in the United States Senate to get to work and send this bill to my desk as soon as possible." Democrats who have neither a majority in the House nor Senate have criticized the bill, particularly on changes to Medicaid and food stamps, because they're just blatant cuts. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries called it a reckless, regressive, and reprehensible GOP tax scam, and pledged to use the bill against Republicans in the next year's midterm elections. Yeah, dude, because that's really going to go well for you. Fantastic. Very good. But here we go. U.S. Senate Republicans narrowly pass Trump's big, beautiful bill. Oh, yeah, the midterms are next year. Those are next year. Oh, boy. Gonna be great to see. What if this fucking dog shit does go into power, how the Republicans are going to turn themselves into pretzels to fucking defend this shit. But it is official. It's past the fucking Senate. Now it's got to go back to the fucking House, of course, and it's going to be relitigated there. And I assume that means it has to go back to the Senate, where it gets relitigated again. And who knows where this is going to go exactly. But let's see. What do we have here? After hours of stalemate, Republicans in the U.S. Senate have narrowly passed Donald Trump's mega bill on tax and spending, meaning the proposed legislation has cleared one of its key hurdles. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act passed with Vice President J.D. Vance casting a tie-breaking vote after more than 24 hours of debate. It now heads back to the House, or lower chamber, where it faces more opposition. An earlier version was cleared by House Republicans by a single vote margin. Trump had given the Republican-controlled Congress a deadline of the 4th of July to send him a final version of the bill to sign into law. The bill as amendment is passed, Vance said on Tuesday afternoon, a moment that was met by applause among Senate Republicans, while Democrats sank back into their seats and shook their heads in disapproval. Oh yeah, dude, that's gonna be that's gonna look great on the fucking cameras. Disputes over the deficit, social programs, and spending levels had created challenges for Republicans stalling progress and promoting Trump to concede it would be very hard to meet his deadline for passing the bill. Despite efforts to galvanize the party, Senate Majority Leader John Thune lost 3 Republicans: Maine's Susan Collins, North Carolina's Tom Tillis, and Kentucky's Rand Paul in the narrow vote. Collins, Tillis, and Paul joined all Democrats in voting against the bill. We've talked about the reasons why. Rand Paul does not like the fact that the debt and the deficit is being blown up as much as it is, because he's an actual deficit hawk. He actually cares about that shit. Tom Tillis does not like the fact that rural hospitals are getting completely fucked over, which I assume a lot of his constituents more than likely rely on in North Carolina. And Susan Collins, I assume, probably has the same similar concerns about rural hospitals. Maybe even the SNAP cuts. I don't know exactly. My assumption is also a lot of rural hospitals getting cut as well is the problems that she's having. After days of negotiations, Republican leaders were finally able to secure the support of Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski, who had been withholding her support over concerns of the impacts of cuts to Medicaid in her state. Again, Alaska, very rural, probably not a lot of hospitals in there, would be forced to have to shut down. Would not be good for Alaska, now would it? Murkowski still appeared discontent with the bill, even after voting to support it, describing the process as rushed and under an artificial timeline. Yeah, because Trump wants his dumbass fucking photo op on the 4th of July. That's the only reason why he's doing any of this. I struggled mightily with the impact on the most vulnerable in this country. Oh, I'm sure, Lisa Murkowski, yet you still fucking voted along with it. You don't give a fuck about, the most vulnerable in the other parts of the country. You only cared about the sort of, carve-out that your state got in it. Yeah, I voted for it, but I didn't like it. Yeah, you still voted for it. So who the fuck cares if you didn't like it? Fuck off. Murkowski said, adding the process was probably the most difficult and agonizing legislative 24-hour period of her career. I'm sure. My hope is that the House is going to look at this and recognize that we're not there yet, she told reporters just outside the Senate floor moments after the vote. Murkowski's support made the final Senate vote tally 50-50 and prompted Vance to step in to cast his tie-breaking vote, of course. On a visit to a migrant detention facility in Florida, isn't that like that stupid alligator Alcatraz all the right is fucking soaring out over? Well, we'll get to that eventually. Trump celebrated the passage of the bill. It's a great bill, he said. There is something for everyone, except no one fucking agrees with that. Literally, everyone is saying, this bill is complete dog shit. You literally, Trump, buddy, you literally had to make a post on fucking Truth Social about the fact that Tom Tillis is just I fucking hate this bill. This bill is dog shit. I'm gonna fucking retire after this because this bill is just such fucking dog shit. Fuck this bill. And you're just I'm gonna primary you, Tom. Fuck you. I hate you. You said my big beautiful bill was doo-doo bupkis. I didn't like it. So that's pretty cool. The legislation, considered a cornerstone of Trump's second-term agenda, would make permanent large tax cuts that were temporarily put in place when he was first in office. Again, that's the 2017 tax cuts, which basically, as we've seen before, cut about or give about $60,000 in terms of tax breaks for the top 1%. Now, again, you may say $60,000 for millionaires and billionaires. That's not that much. Consider the fact where that most of that money is going to be coming out of. It's going to be coming out of your fucking pockets. But the middle class, the lower class, even the upper middle class are the ones who are going to suffer the most from these fucking tax cuts. But, whatever. Billionaires need more yachts. They need more fucking money to, buy more fucking floating palaces or some shit. Whatever. Very cool. Trump also needs his own fucking tax cuts, right? He wants to benefit from his time in office. He wants to get his own cuts. Whatever happened to Trump constantly talking about, I'm not going to cut my own taxes, because I'm the one who benefits the most from this. And then he immediately goes forward with, the first thing, and that is to cut his own fucking taxes. That's cool. To make up for the exceptional expected loss of revenue, Republicans have looked to cut spending in a wide range of programs, including food subsidies and health care for lower-income Americans. The vote came on Tuesday afternoon, concluding a whirlwind voting session on Capitol Hill. Democrats had attempted to flex their muscles by putting up procedural hurdles against the bill to delay its passage. Oh. Bravo. That included requiring Senate clerks to read all of the bill's 940 pages aloud. Okay, that is funny, though. It's like, you gotta read the whole thing. Gotta make sure everyone understands what's in this bill. Do you understand what's in the bill? That's funny, though. Okay, I'll give them that. That's good. And launching a lengthy debate process over proposed amendments in what is called a vote-a-rama. Well, the problem is, it is funny that they were trying to do this, but that's never gonna fucking work because, whatever. Fuck that shit. We need to make more people suffer because that's the only modus operandi that fucking Republicans have pretty much at this point. You suffering? True. Yeah, it's actually a vote-a-rumba. That's true. It is now up to the House Republicans to approve the changes made by the Senate before the president can sign the bill into law. What happens if they don't approve? They don't approve and they make their own changes again? I believe then it would have to go back to the Senate for them to approve. And it could be a complete fucking shit show. That's cool. Because again, the House Republicans are saying, we don't like this. Fuck this shit. We're out. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in the course of the next 3 days. It's going to be very, very interesting what happens with the big, beautiful bill. But its fate remains uncertain, as it has been opposed from different angles, and Republicans can only afford to lose 3 votes. A group of fiscal conservative hawks have signaled their unhappiness with how much the Senate proposal could add to the U.S. national deficit, which refers to the difference between what the government spends and what it raises in revenue each year. According to the right-wing Freedom Caucus, the Senate proposal could add $652 billion to the deficit each year. That's not fiscal responsibility, caucus members said in a social media post on Monday. It's not what we agreed to. Yeah, because again, they just want more cut. Listen, right-wing Freedom Caucus. This is the supposed populist fucking Republicans. Well, whatever happened to populism? I thought we were supposed to care about the American people. Apparently not. They want you to suffer. Almost as if right-wing populism is a complete, utter farce. Meanwhile, other House Republicans are concerned that the Senate legislation would make steeper cuts to the Medicaid health insurance program for lower-income Americans than they had approved. Yeah, a lot of House Republicans represent a lot of rural fucking goddamn constituencies, right? Let's be honest here. They live in rural constituencies, and guess who are the main people that are going to fucking suffer from these Medicaid tax cuts? It's people who rely on rural hospitals. Oh yeah, you're 100% right, Alex. Majority Report talks about this all the time, right? I think it was in Kansas. Kansas tried to do some Art Laffer curve bullshit. And Art Laffer, if you don't know anything about Art Laffer, he's an economist who's basically completely and utterly discredited. He proposed the Laffer curve, that if you keep cutting and cutting taxes over and over and over again, you keep cutting taxes for the rich, that's going to help incentivize a lot of spending and a lot of fucking productivity in the state. Kansas put that in a test in 2012, and it ended up being so fucking disastrous to the state's education program, which was a highly, revered education program, that the Republican-controlled state Senate and legislature proposed raising taxes on wealthy Kansans in order to be able to make up for the lost revenue. I think it's the Kansas Experiment 2012. The Kansas Experiment was a name given to the controversial and widely noted tax-cutting policy/agenda of Kansas Governor Sam Brownback that began with Brownback's signing a bill cutting state taxes, Kansas State Bill Substitute HB 2117, in May 2012, and ended with Kansas legislators' repeal of the bill in June of 2017. It was one of the largest income tax cuts in the state's history. The Kansas experiment has also been called the Great Kansas Tax Cut Experiment, the Red State Experiment, the Tax Experiment in Kansas, and one of the cleanest experiments for how tax cuts affect economic growth in the U.S. The cuts were based on a model legislation published by conservative American Legislative Exchange Council, supported by the supply-side economist Art Laffer, who is a complete fucking clown. Anti-tax leader Governor Grover Norquist. These two are complete fucking clowns. Like, they're basically like two stooges of like Reagan, basically. Like, as you can see here, member of Reagan's Economic Policy Advisory Board from 1981 to 1989. Again, you want to talk about like the fucking Reagan tax cuts, supply side economics, and trickle down economics. Art Laffer is one of the main guys you fucking look at. And it's been, as we all know, a complete fucking disaster. And the influential industrials, Charles and David Koch. Oh, the Koch brothers. Very cool. The law cut taxes by $231 million in its first year. And the cuts were projected to total $934 million annually after 6 years by eliminating taxes on business income for the owners of almost 200,000 businesses and cutting individual income rates. Brownback compared his tax policies with those of Ronald Reagan and described them as a real-life experiment, which would be a shot of adrenaline into the heart of Kansas's economy, which got repealed in 2017. Guys, it's almost as if supply-side economics and trickle-down fucking economics bullshit has been experimented and tried, and it was a fucking failure. It got repealed by the Republican legislator in a veto-proof majority. The governor couldn't fucking veto that shit. And guess what? They were fucking repealed and taxes were raised. It's almost as if you want to reduce deficits and take care of fucking deficits, the only way you can do that is by raising taxes on the wealthy and the corporations. Crazy. Who would have thought? Little detour aside. We love we love making fun of Art Laffer and the Laffer curve, which is laughable. I remember there was like there was like a Senate hearing with Scott Bessant, and he brought up fucking Art Laffer, and everyone in the room just laughed, saying like, "Are you serious? You're bringing up that fucking clown, that complete fucking moron, who's been completely discredited, and no one fucking believes any of this shit? Get a load of this guy. Bringing up Art Laffer. Buffoonish." Where was I? Meanwhile, other House Republicans... Oh, here we go. No, it's this. I was here. Democrats in both chambers of Congress too, have criticized the proposed welfare cuts. Very cool. Republicans in the House of Representatives will be working against a previously imposed 4th of July deadline from the president. I'd love to do July 4th, but I think it's very hard to do July 4th. I would say maybe July... I would say maybe... Wait, what? Oh, this is Trump that's saying it. I need to redo this then. I'd love to do July 4th, but I think it's very hard to do July 4th. I would say maybe July 4th or somewhere around there. Trump told reporters as he was departing the White House for Florida. Among the other critics of the plans are tech billionaire Elon Musk, who helped Trump win the White House last year and served as Trump's cost-cutting czar. We'll get to the girlies, because they're fighting again. The girlies. Musk is now actively working to spoil the chances of survival for Trump's signature legislation, as threatened to set up a new political party if the bill clears Congress. So I guess Elon's not backing down. He's actually going to commit to going ahead with fucking over Republicans if they pass the big beautiful bill. Yeah, that's true. Art laughed at. That's true. So he's serious because he did like a little co-post and capitulated to Donald Trump, and well, it turns out he's actually going to go through with it. Maybe. Interesting. On Monday, he threatened to back challengers to Republicans who vote for it. every member of Congress who campaigned on reducing government spending and then immediately voting for the biggest debt increase in history should hang their head in shame, Musk wrote on X, Twitter. The bill's severe reductions to government support for renewable energy and electric vehicles could hurt the bottom line for a company where Musk made some of his fortune, Tesla as well. Yeah, again, Elon's doing this because of his own self-interest, because Donald Trump has constantly talked about, like, we don't like EV tax credits. We don't like the EV mandate forcing people to have to drive electric vehicles, when that's not what it was doing at all, but whatever. Trump's an idiot and he doesn't, well, understand really much of anything. Yes, that's the biggest reason why, but whatever. Hey, man. Take what you can get in this time of fucking darkness. Let's be honest here. So, the bill has now officially passed the Senate, even though no one really fucking likes it, and now it has to go back to the House to see if they agree with the proposals, or see if they can get everyone on board, because again, they can't afford to really lose that many people. Only a 3-vote margin. That's not a lot. What happened? Okay, question. If the House does not approve the if they do not approve the bill and they make their own changes, what happens then? Does it have to? It would have to go. From what I understand, it would have to go back to the Senate for it to get, reapproved. Whatever changes they do there. Is that correct, Boy Meets Minier or Alex? You guys know? Is that how that works? What happens if the House of Representatives? Not sure myself. Let's try to figure it out. What happens if the House of Representatives do not approve of changes made to a bill by the Senate? What happens? Well, this isn't fucking Canada. Is this Canada? The Senate changes the language of the measure. It must return to the House for concurrence or additional changes. This back and forth negotiation may occur on the House floor, with the House accepting or rejecting Senate amendments or complete Senate text. Often, a conference committee will be appointed with both House and Senate members. This group will resolve the differences in committee and report the identical measure back to both bodies for a vote. Conference committees also issue reports outlining the final version of the bill. Okay, so what's going to happen then is, if the House... So it first goes back onto the floor for a vote. That's what it does. So it goes back on the floor for a vote. If it does not get approved, it doesn't pass, what happens is that it goes back into committee, which can be a months-long fucking process of yada yada and bloody bloody debate, yada yada, the Senate actually and the legislative actually doing its fucking job. They're going to send it back into committee with both House and Senate members on those fucking committees to iron out the fucking differences. That's what happens. Okay. So pretty much it just depends on if there's another vote and how hastily put together the Republicans are gonna put it. That's what's going to happen. Okay. Cool. So that's what'll happen. There will be another vote. If it doesn't go through, if it doesn't go through, basically it gets sent back to committee. So basically, Alex, what was changed is stuff in the green tax credits, instead of being done away with immediately like the House wanted, it's being phased out slowly. There was changes in the child tax credits. There was changes in the Senate wants to give less money for child tax credits, like $2,200, which is still a slight increase, but only having one person be, applicable for Social Security instead of both people being applicable for Social Security. For if you have an American citizen who's married to like a fucking immigrant, for example. Of course, like House Republicans are worse and more racist, so they want to have immigrants generally just suffer, including American citizens who might be married to an immigrant. They want them to suffer. So there was that change. There was changes to SNAP. There was changes to the SNAP provisions. There was also changes to some of the provisions that were carved out specifically within the cuts to Medicaid as well. Yeah. They just want immigrants to suffer. That's the point. So I think there may be more like minute specific things as well that are going to be talked about and proposed and negotiated. But those are the major changes. So now that we have an understanding of what's going on here, the sort of like catalyst of everything, blah, 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 blah. The Republicans are doing this because they just want you to suffer. That is the entire point. And this is a, broadly speaking, universally disliked bill. Nobody fucking likes this bill. Let's be honest here. It's not going to be fucking popular, and people are already bracing for, well, the welfare fucking cuts. It's going to be bad if this does somehow get passed through the fucking House. Because if it gets past the House, it goes up to the fucking president's desk, and he's going to fucking sign it on July 4th, more than likely. Which is going to be a complete fucking disaster. So, again, these next few days are probably going to be very critical and crucial. We're going to have to wait and see exactly how the House, when the House reconvenes and talks about this fucking bill and says like, oh, okay, well, this is complete dog shit because of this, blah, 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 blah. They renegotiate. Whatever happens, happens. And it's just going to be like a complete fucking shit show from there. Because if the vote goes through this time, it goes up straight to the president's desk. And he's more than likely going to sign it into law. So, that's cool. That's great. Fantastic. So, basic summary. More than likely, is this going to pass the House again? Who the fuck knows, really? If this gets, like, additional changes made by the House, is it going to be sent to committee? Then it definitely won't have the July 4th sort of deadline. And it's probably going to be, like, relitigated over and over and over again for months to come. More than likely. And Trump's going to have, well, a legislative failure on his hands. So, depending on how it plays out in this vote in the House, either it's going to, well, cause a potential, like, huge political loss for Donald Trump, or it'll be a fucking victory. It just depends on what is going to happen now with this, well, next vote. That's pretty much the point, right? So that's cool. Very, very good and fantastic. So for this like complete dog shit bill, which is only going to make people suffer for no reason besides the fact that we have to give billionaires as much money as possible because fuck you, we hate the American people. We are going to try to basically like, make people suffer for the express purposes of maintenance of hierarchy and control. Very, very cool. Just make a lot of their own voters also suffer because the people who are going to suffer the most from this are going to be Republican voters. And, Felford again award being ever eternal with the Republican constituent, as always. Yeah. So, basic summary again. This bill is dog shit. It has a lot of proposed cuts. Are there some good provisions in there? Yeah, sure, whatever. But in comparison to all the disastrous fucking cuts that are in there, this bill is overall much, much worse. Not to mention some of the provisions that Trump is trying to sneak in there in order to, well, fuck over the judiciary. We've talked about that before, where Trump just wants to throw a complete spanner in the works of the judiciary, as always, in order to, well, make it such that they can't enforce their constitutional duty to keep him in check. So, that's cool. That's great. That this complete, utter nonsense omnibus of a fucking bill, this complete fucking nonsense is, well, depending on what the House might do and whatever negotiations and compromises are made, it's going to be very critical to see what happens these next couple of days. If this does fail, it's going to be a huge loss for Trump. if it does go through, it's going to be a ginormous fucking victory. So at this point, well, time to wait and see what fucking happens. It's going to be either a complete shit show or it's going to be, a fucking utter disaster for the American people. Don't think there's really much else to say besides that.